Class 1 Offshore Powerboat Tour completes its Norwegian doubleheader with the Scandinavian Grand Prix, moving up the coast from the small town and fjords of Arendal to Oslo and the heart of the nation's world-famous capital city. And so this boat-mad nation stands by for another injection of Class 1 adrenaline as the tour arrives here in this spectacular harbour for round 4 of the championship. A round that's put the teams under time pressure as well as race pressure, with only a week to take in the many surprises that awaited them at the last round. And championship-changing surprises they were. Victory 4 seemed invincible at the start of this year. Kalfan Areb and Mohammed Al Gaith romping home to victory in Italy. Whilst the defending world champions, Bjorn Jeltsen and Steve Curtis suffered their first taste of mechanical failure in over 12 months of racing. They stopped again in Germany to leave the door open once again for Victory 4. But then it was to be disaster in Arendal for the Emirates team, Areb and Al Gaith destroying the front of their boat, pushing too hard in offshore testing. That should have left the field clear for Spirit of Norway, leading the race from the start yet again. But also yet again, engine failure brought misery and dejection. And with Victory 44 also catching one wave the wrong way, they were sidelined, handing a fairy tale victory to the Alcone Motorsports team. The American champions visiting the tour for the very first time as a tryout for next year. But they don't score points, so full points went to the Jolly Motor team, and that now brings them into championship contention. So the championship wide open again as the boats park up here in Oslo. And plenty of this year's newcomers also biting at the heels of the established front runners, and in some cases scoring more points thanks to reliability. So lower speeds but picking up more of the spoils, and that'll be a point not lost on the title holders. Bjorn Jeltsen and Steve Curtis now under pressure to perform, especially as rivals Areb and Al Gaith are back in a renumbered old Victory number 7 boat that proved competitive enough to give teammates Sism and Nasser podium places in Italy and Germany before their new boat arrived. High hopes for the No Fear team after choosing to simplify their drive configuration this time. And the Americans are on the crest of confidence, while Giovanni Giorgi is back at the throttles of immersion. And Jim Dyke and Leonardo Poli look forward to stabilising a season that's had a third and a win, but also a breakdown in Germany, and brought a disappointing 6th fastest for the Italian-based team. Everyone, of course, expecting to see what Spirit of Norway would turn in. Thousands lining the course in boats of all sizes to see their local heroes storm down the course at 232.87 kilometres per hour without missing a beat. Great stuff for the massive crowd supporting them on shore as well. But Edoardo Poli, pole position champion last year, was soon to show his boat had lost none of its straight line speed capability. Leith Ferron keeping us straight and true on the way to 233.18 kilometres an hour. But even greater things expected from Victory 44 after their new World Class 1 speed record in Arendal. But conditions here nowhere near the same. Nevertheless, Altair and Sorales once again showing the potential of this boat that's yet to win a race, averaging 239.19 kilometres an hour for their best run. But now the question was, what would the Americans do this time? Having broken the previous world record themselves only minutes before Victory 44 overtook them to establish the new one in Arendal. And although their Stirling engines run American race fuel, making them ineligible for points this year, their run, yet another indicator of how competitive they will be. But there was one joker left in the pack, the all-new diesel-powered Victory 7 of Ali Nasser and Randy Sism. Only second time on the water, but this new configuration, a hull developed from the previous Victory 4, specially adapted Wiseman gearboxes, and the raw power of the C-Tex, proving a deadly combination. A best average run of 243.66 kilometres an hour, blowing all predictions out of the water and pleasing the championship leading crew. So surprises indeed as Nasser and Sism take maximum points. Alcone proves a point. Victory 44 add to their previous tally, and Spirit of Norway at last have a boost to their confidence. and the rear deck of the giant cruise ship SS Norway providing a stunning location and an automatic audience as NASA celebrates his first ever pole position win alongside his American throttleman, who dearly loved to win the championship he's raced in for 6 years. Meanwhile, it's their teammates who lead the separate pole position trophy standings. Spirit of Norway in fourth now, but for Bjorn Jeltsen, millionaire businessman turned leading driver, he wants the race win here in front of his corporate headquarters after a lifetime passion for boats and speed.
I always had a boat, and I grew up just very close to the sea, to the fjord, up on the west coast of Norway. But it was really Kjell Rocky who talked me into to starting to race. I was with him on all the races and sort of gave him all the good advices, and finally one day he said, do it yourself. So I said, okay, well, maybe you should do that. I always have been competing, competed skiing for Norway, so competing has been part of my life. So when it comes to powerboats and speeds, I think it's more about being focused and understanding the risk you're taking.
Welcome back to Oslo in Norway, round 4 of the UIM Class 1 Championships. It's race day, the sun's out, and so it seems is half of Norway. Well over 150,000 people, they estimate, packed around the city shoreline, and hundreds more boats along trackside as the boats circle right in front of them, and Cal van der Ebb here attempts to keep alive his championship bid in the unfamiliar number 4 boat. And in front of them, one of the trickiest courses of the series, jinking between the outlying islands and 2 tight turns at either end, so partnership rather than power the key to this one, as we join the race commentary of Martin Haven.
Starter's boat in the left-hand corner of the picture gives them the green flag, and everybody opens the throttles wide. Away they go. Good start nearest the camera by Spirit of Norway, and at the top of the course it's the red boat 27 Hyatt racing them down to the first marker. Further back on board with Jolly Motor, maximum point score last week, but they got left at the start, now trying to pull up alongside Jotun. But streaking away, Spirit of Norway and Hyatt in hot pursuit, all 3 victory boats. Speeds already over 120 miles an hour on the flat-out run. On board with Binautica, regular throttleman Roberto Biancalana, joined by driver Alex Gunadin this weekend. The victory boats 44 and 4. Harab getting a good start, closing now on the early leaders, heading the Dubai Challenge. Down to the first corner, and Hyatt runs very, very wide indeed. They've gone in far too fast. They spotted the turn marker much too late. Victory 4 streaks through on the inside. Spirit of Norway second. Hyatt comes back in the third place battle with this boat, US 1, riding with Matt Alcone. First across the line in Arendal, now sitting pretty and watching the others as they develop their tactics. Moving off on the right-hand side of the picture was Hyatt, being dropped by Spirit of Norway. Spirit of Norway chasing the leaders now. Harab and Algaith in victory 4, determined to put their problems of last weekend behind them. Holly and Farron geared for flat-out speed, really picking up pace as the flotilla heads back towards Oslo. And here comes the charge of the heavy brigade. 3/4 of the way round lap 1. From the right, it's Hyatt, Spirit of Norway, Alcone and victory 4. But these 2 are out front. Victory 4, the blue boat. Spirit of Norway, the red and white colours, the national flag emblazoned on the side of the boat. Steve Curtis watching the water, trying to judge his speed as they come up to the marker. Right behind them, the red boat Hyatt, and then Alcone and victory 44 battling for 4th position. But it's all about the race down to the marker for the leaders. They've just overhauled the victory boat. Into the Oslo turn they go. Curtis goes in very fast, but my goodness, look at the victory boat dancing across the waves. They really threw that 5-ton boat in there absolutely sideways like a rally car. Well, he's paying for that exuberance now. Hyatt's gone past him into second place. He's really lost drive out of the corner. Alcone on a tight line, the two victory boats right behind. Let's have a look again. Well, he turns in tight and it doesn't quite work for him. Across the wake, gets very, very out of shape. What a fantastic shot. Looks like it's a featherweight, doesn't it? But these boats really are heavyweights of the water. Well, that has handed a handsome lead to Spirit of Norway. Looked as though Jeltsin and Curtis might have gone in there a little quick, but they got away with it that time. Hyatt, the 27 boat, in second place, just over 3 seconds behind. But Victory 4 now closing in on Polly and Farron. The older Victory 4 boat really not quite on a par with the newer front runners. They're having to overdrive it as a result. Fourth place, US 1. Just 3.9 seconds behind the leaders. Matt Alcone, as he did last week, sitting and waiting, watching the race develop as Spirit of Norway leads the pack. Well, they've been in this position in every race so far this year, only for disaster to strike them. Hyatt charging hard behind them in second, and they've had a similarly disastrous time this season. Polly and Farron yet to finish a race. Behind them in fifth place, Victory 44, the first of the blue boats, and right behind them, Victory 7, their teammates, racing them for position. Up ahead into the corner, and he slipped past Victory 4, the American, moving up through the fleet as we hit the outside turn. Spirit leads, Hyatt in the centre of the picture. Victory 4 runs very wide indeed. This could be very bad news. In much, much too fast. They just haven't got to grips with this old boat yet. Well, they've really lost position there, losing loads of speed as they came out of the corner, and right now, Victory 44 challenging them for that fourth place. But look at the lead that Spirit of Norway has as they head past this huge flotilla and the cruise ship SS Norway, packed with spectators, all wishing, hoping and praying that Spirit of Norway can pull this one off in their home waters. Surely it's only a matter of time before they break their run of bad luck, but they're not the only Norwegians. Here's Jotun, only its third race. Andreas Ugland and Jan Hillestadt chasing Victory 44, nearly 30 seconds ahead of them in sixth position. But they are well clear of Jolly Motor. Their roller coaster season continues. For some reason they're down on speed here. Maybe it's a poor propeller choice, but they're going to be embroiled any moment in a battle with this boat, the number 3 No Fear Machine, just over 4 seconds behind. They have gone for a no gearbox configuration with their diesel engines, and it seems to be working here. Nicolini on the throttles, Thorne on the steering wheel, closing the gap, riding on board in the No Fear Machine, and they have got a target in their sights, giving them extra incentive to charge hard. Spirit of Norway with open water ahead of them, again passing the pack decks of the SS Norway cruise ship. Jeltsin and Curtis holding off the 27 boat and extending their advantage, in fact more than doubling it to 9.5 seconds. Hyatt now has to beware of Matt Alcone. He's played a waiting game early in the race, now he is starting to close. Behind him, it's a three-way battle between the Victory boats for 4th, 5th and 6th, and closest to the camera, Victory 7 with the orange nose on their hulls, overhauling their teammates in Victory 4. Fantastic battling, the boats 120 miles an hour plus and about as close as you would want to be in this open water. Down towards the harbour they come. Just look at this shot, the leaders on the left-hand side of the picture, and Victory 4 dabbling with disaster there, dancing across the waves, really threw the boat in again. They are just struggling so badly. Victory 7 having to go wide around the outside, but again, coming right back at them. This is sensational stuff. You'd never imagine that these guys are teammates the way they're fighting with each other, and you'd never imagine that it's only for 4th place either. Another great shot. Spirit of Norway rounds the marker, just showing you how little of these boats is ever in contact with the water at speed. Hyatt turning tight on the inside, just out of the shot as we follow Matt Alcone making a battle of this. And here comes the 4th place squabble. Victory 7 just getting their nose ahead. Victory 4 turning tighter on the inside, getting the power down, and they've lost it. Oh my goodness. They flipped the boat, Victory 4 upside down and dead in the water. Well, the crew have got a safety escape hatch underneath the boat, and they should be able to pile out through that. Already the rescue helicopters on the scene very quickly indeed, and the crew are out as well, so no damage to them. Harib and Algaith bundling out of the boat as quickly as they can. Thumbs up all round. So they are okay, but their season may well be taking a turn for the worse. 2 boats wrecked in 8 days. Bad news indeed. And let's have a look again from the reverse angle. Watch Victory 4 at the right-hand side of the picture. All seems to be okay here, but it looks like they may just have got too much power on too soon, turning sideways across the wake and the boat being flipped. Well, the hull, of course, the old Victory 7 after they wrecked their regular boat last weekend. Unfamiliar machine to them, and that might have had something to do with it as well. We rejoin the action on lap 5. Spirit of Norway still out front. No problems to report so far in a 14-second margin over this battle. The red boat, Hyatt, on the outside, US 1, and right in the middle there as well, Victory 7. They have closed that gap, really sliced into the advantage of the second and third place boats. Teammates Victory 44 unable to match that pace. Maybe a poor propeller choice, but driver Saeed Altaya and throttleman Felix Sorales are still working hard. Let's ride with them and see what it looks like on board. Chasing them, Jotun, Ugland and Hillerstadt were 5th in Germany in their first race with this boat and 3rd a week ago in their second ever outing. They're ahead of Jolly Motor, winners on points last time out, down to 7th place. Well, the speed has improved this year, but it looks like the setup isn't quite right in Oslo, and they've got plenty to worry about because the No Fear boat right behind them, Ken Thorne and Matteo Niccolini, is closing and closing. Well, this is another fantastic 3-way battle. No Fear at the back of it at the Oslo turn. Jotun flashes through in 6th place. Thorne looking down the inside, a very tight turn. He's trying to take Jolly Motor. There is the Swiss-based boat, and he's doing it. Really, really close stuff indeed here. What a fantastic move by Ken Thorne, neck and neck. And as the C-Tech diesels open up on No Fear, the Lamborghini V12s howling on Jolly Motor, we ride on board. Close-up of Leonardo Poli steering and Jim Dyke on the throttles. They've dropped that place there, but they're fighting back. Look at this. Once more, the battle is engaged, and they are in a flat-out drag race side by side, and Jolly Motor seems to have the speed. Well, look at Jim Dyke. No wonder they're going well. Throttles absolutely on the stops, pointing out to his driver the water ahead of them, looking for the markers, flying down the course, but No Fear really getting into its stride now as the C-Tech's on song, giving us a great example of just how the different systems in the boats work. If only No Fear could get their gearboxes sorted out as well as their engines seem to be, they might have a much better chance in the championship. Back at the front though, Spirit of Norway, drivetrain, engine and fuel problems of the first 3 races may be behind them, but we don't want to say that too soon. It looks like they could have won on the previous 3 races as well. Oh, and disaster for No Fear. They've just blown by Jolly Motor, and now it looks as though their engines have cried enough. Their race is over. Lap 11, and look at this, Victory 7 now ahead of Matt Alcone, up into 3rd place. And this has been a race-long battle. The American may be caught napping. It's a 5.5 second advantage that the Hyatt boat still has over Victory 7 in 3rd place. But they've done the important job, and that's get rid of US 1. Hyatt, no answer to the speed of Spirit of Norway, and it looks as though they may be in trouble any moment now. Victory 7 crossing the wake, looking to the inside line as they come up to the mark. Matt Alcone in 4th place, just behind this battle, waiting and watching perhaps for disaster to strike. And again, what a great shot. Look at that, Hyatt in the spray, Victory 7, Matt Alcone right behind them. 5 or 6 seconds covering these 3 boats in 2nd, 3rd and 4th position. And on to the final lap, lap 13 for Spirit of Norway. A handsome lead, but will it be unlucky 13? They've led every race so far this year and failed to finish, but this time it looks as though they've broken that trend. The finish line is in sight, a handsome margin, and Spirit of Norway, Bjorn Jelsen and Steve Curtis take victory on home water. Spirit of Norway wins the Scandinavian Grand Prix, their first finish of the year. And here's the battle for second, and it is as close after 120 miles of racing as it has ever been. Victory 7 making a last desperate charge to the line, but by just 4 seconds. Hyatt takes the position, Victory 7 in third. The UIM boats fill the top 3 podium positions, and this weekend Matt Alcone has been firmly beaten by his UIM Class 1 rivals. But what a time to win for Yelston and Curtis. Surely no sweeter feeling than victory at home.
So this could be the turning point for Spirit of Norway. And what a turning point too for Hyatt. Polly and Ferron truly showing the boat's potential. But Victory 7 still the most consistent crew in the championships. Nevertheless, relief for Yelston.
It was a good place to win for the first race, and first race this year for us. Obviously it was a lot of tough races this year. We have been up in the lead and breaking down for various reasons, so it was about time.
Well, yeah, it's great for the team, obviously. You know, this is where we're based, and, you know, a lot of the guys who help us out that are behind the scenes are here, so it's great for them as well.
And at last, a celebrationary cigar for Eduardo Polli. Well, finally we seem to have sorted out the technical problems, gears and so on. We were running too big a props, but it was a lovely race. It was a hard enough race. We had Alcone chasing behind us and then Victory 7, so the pressure was on. Steve was a little bit faster and got away, but it was a fun race. So after all that, it's still Victory dominating the top of the championship, but Spirit of Norway at last in pursuit, along with Jolly Motor, and certainly the whole title thrown wide open with 4 races to run and possibly now a 5th in the offing. Yelston and Curtis lost in the euphoria. This is like old times. Can they repeat it? We'll find out in Turkey.